Hi, I am an unemployed live event worker here in Massachusetts, and I'm one of 12 million across the United States. As we all know, 2020 has been a year of unknowns. When will we go back to work? Should I consider a new career? Will the Hill ever pass a second wave of pandemic assistance? It's a lot to digest. But one thing we can offer you is some help understanding what the end of PUA could mean for you. The Massachusetts Live Event Coalition is grateful to provide you Hanging Tough Episode 2 Unemployment Assistance. This episode contains answers to questions submitted by Coalition members, and we hope it offers you some direction in this year of unknowns.
Thank you, Mandy. That was Mandy Holt, who is part of our board, is also a Mass-based coalition member, and was a big push for us doing this video. So we want to thank Mandy for the intro and for all her work.
Mandy.
I'm Mercedes Roman Manson. I am also a Mass-based live events worker. I'm usually a production manager or a production electrician.
And I am Thomas Whalen. I work in food and beverage and large scale events in Massachusetts, and I am a proud Massachusetts live events professional.
And we've come together to talk about the very confusing world of the unemployment insurance, PEUC, PUA, and EB programs. A bunch of you had reached out to the MLEC saying we are very confused about these different programs. We don't understand how they work. We're kind of confused about what they mean. And we asked you for questions, to submit some questions, and we've taken those questions, done some research, reached out to a bunch of our resources, both in the Department of Labor, Mass Department of Labor, and legal firms, and we come back with the best questions that we could come back, or the best answers. We've come back with the best answers we can. Sorry. And we're going to go through them one by one and answer your questions, give you some additional information, and hopefully push you in the right direction to solve some of the problems that you guys are having. I'll start off by reviewing the program names. So there are kind of 4 programs that we're going to talk about, really 3, and then UI. So to start, UI is unemployment insurance. For those of you guys that don't know, unemployment insurance is a employer paid into program. So when you have a W-2 employer that over a certain amount of time, they pay into the program for you through taxes. And that money is there for you when you have an unemployment situation that you can apply for and use. And so a lot of you are seeing UI and confusing it with PUA, which is the next program we're going to talk about, which is Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. PUA is created so that people that didn't fit into the UI system, independent gig workers, people on 1099, people that are self-employed, are able to use federal funds, this is 100% federally funded, to ride out their unemployment needs during the pandemic situation. In addition, there is PEUC, which is Pandemic Emergency Unemployment, and that is a program that is an extension program. So once you've gone through UI, PEUC is an extension program that allows you to pull out of federal funds for 13 weeks to allow you to kind of get to the next level if you have been unable to find a job or have been recalled to the job that you had before that you were unable to do. And then there's extended benefits, which Thomas will talk about, which is a different program, not part of the CARES Act. That will be another extension program that allows for more weeks on top of the week. So you go UI or PUA, PEUC, and then if you are in the UI system, extended benefits. So we're going to talk a little bit about how these work. I'm going to start with PUA and PEUC. So under the CARES Act, all states provide 13 additional weeks of federally funded pandemic emergency unemployment compensation assistance, PEUC benefits, to people who exhaust their regular UI benefits. And that is followed by additional weeks of federally funded EB in states with high unemployment, which Thomas will talk about. PUA and PEUC are part of the CARES package in the CARES Act, which means that for a lot of people, you're confused about when it ends. Some of you hear the 31st of December, and some of you hear the 26th. We're recording this before a relief package has been released. A lot of you are seeing news on the Hill, and we're waiting to hear what gets passed. So we're recording this with the information we have using the original CARES package as it stands. Now this may change, and we'll obviously update you to the changes if extensions are passed through a relief package, but right now we're just taking that out of the equation. So in the CARES Act, the 26th is the last filing date that you guys can use. What is the last payable week? You guys, the 26th really is the end date for everybody. The 31st is when the act itself expires, and the 26th is when the programs expire. So the 26th for you is the last date you're going to be able to put in for your weekly, benefit. That's what they call it. So one of the questions we get is, when does it end and who funds it? So the answer is it ends on the 26th, and PUEC, like PUA, is funded by the federal government, is not funded by the state, is part of the CARES Act package. Some people say, how do I know if I'm in PUEC? How do I know if I'm in the original UI benefit? How do I know if I'm in PUA? In the state of Massachusetts, when you're in your dashboard, so you've logged in online and you're looking at your dashboard, the first thing you kind of see is your a really basic overview of your benefits, and it will say which you're in. If you're in UI, which is your original claim for unemployment insurance, so you're not a gig worker, this is people on W-2s. Or if you're in the PUEC, it'll say PUEC 1.0, and it will say how much money is in your PUEC benefit claim, which is your 13 weeks. And it will also say a date. And sometimes the date is way past December 31st. It doesn't matter. The 26th really is the end date right now, unless an extension is created, and we're not sure how that will work. We're not sure how it'll be implemented. So as far as you're concerned, even though your PEUC says like March 31st, that's just when the 13 weeks would end in a calendar year, but the actual end date is the 26th. So one question was, in Massachusetts, if you make over $5,700 as an employee, you must use the state's DUA program, which means apply for UI first, not PUA. But many in our industry both have freelance work and part-time employment, and thus the benefits are based on a small fraction of our actual income, meaning that when they apply with the DUA UI program, the UI is only seeing their W-2 work, which is a small portion of what they make in a year because they're a split income situation. Is there a way to receive benefits that reflect the actual income in the circumstance? And sadly, the answer is no. There's two things. In the state of Massachusetts, it's not $5,700, it's $5,100 as per the state's DUA website. So after $5,100, if you make $5,100 in W-2, you have to apply for UI first. You can't just apply for PUA. It triggers it. It knows that you make that much. So they want you to use the UI system first. So you would need to log in and use your UI first. And you can't really tell them, hey, I make way more money in 1099, I want to use that, because the 1099 income that you use does not get paid into the UI system. 1099, no taxes taken out, which means that an employer or you are not paying into a UI system. So really, they're only looking at your W-2 income in reference to unemployment insurance benefits. So you really have to start with your UI, unfortunately. And then when you exhaust that, you can go to PUA. So you can use one, and when it's done, there are other options for you, but you do have to start in the UI program. So unfortunately, that is the way. You can't, back in the day, you used to be able to appeal to try to have them look at the whole page. There's so many people doing split incomes now. I guess they haven't been prepared for how to handle it. So the systems are still different, and you have to do UI and then PUA, PUEC, EB. So always start in UI. If you're not applicable for UI, then you can start in the PUA system. But if you are within the above 5,100 or more, you do have to start in UI. Here's one. Will any unemployment benefits be extended for those of us whose claims started in March and are set to expire in a few weeks? And this would be in December. Started on regular UI, and now they think they're in EB. We hope so. We don't know. The CARES Act, if you're in extended benefits, you're at the kind of, which Thomas will talk about, you're at like the end of the system, so to speak. If you are in the PUA system and you've done all of your weeks, you're at the end of your system as well, sadly. The PUA system was built to kind of mimic the weeks system that they use in UI and PEUC. So in regular UI, you get 26 weeks, plus you get another set of weeks from your PEUC, which is 13, and then EB. PUA has a week system similar to that. So the idea is that the cycle would be as long to cover you with the federal funds. So if you've hit all the way to EB, no, there's nothing for you right now. That doesn't mean that in the next couple of days they don't pass something and then you get something that will allow you to, keep going. We're just in your situation right now. No, there's not. You can, reach out if you want to unemployment and talk to them about it. We always say if you have a question and we're giving you part of an idea, complete the idea and call UA and go, I've heard this is possible. What are my options? Always talk to the people. We'll go about this later, but you should always reach out to them. The people that answer that phone are there to help you. You should use that. That's what they're paid for. I know it's frustrating. We all know it's frustrating, but you should call them. So this is a really interesting question. Did UI and PUA merge funding at some point? Are both PUA and UI recipients both pulling from PEUC 1.0 right now? No. So a lot of people hear UI and they're thinking UA. So UI is the unemployment insurance system. UA is unemployment assistance. And then PUA is pandemic unemployment assistance. All of these acronyms get really confusing. We know that. So no, the funding is very different. So UI is state taxes. It is managed by the state. Your employer pays into it if you do a W-2 employment of a certain length, and it's part of a different system. And then PUA is a federal system, totally based off of federal funds from the CARES Act. PEUC, because it is also part of the CARES Act, is a separate fund as well, but it's also federally funded. So it's not like there's any merging of money. Like, yes, the money's all coming from either the state, the feds, or a split of both, depending on your situation, but they're not merging money, and that money doesn't mix into something. They do keep them separate. They are tracked. These systems are tracked. It's not just like random money pots that they're pulling out of. They're very much a tracked system. So yeah, I know it's confusing with the acronyms, but no, there's no merging of funds. Here's one that's very specific, but it might be applicable to more than one person. I receive $100 a week, but my UI balance is $400. Can I file for those remaining weeks after the 26th? What happens to that money? So if your UI balance is $400 and you're in your original benefit, your UI benefit, that money doesn't disappear and the 26 isn't applicable to you. Your unemployment balance, which is the original benefit insurance balance, runs out. It's a certain amount of weeks that you have to use it, but if you still have it in there and you're within your weeks, just keep putting your claim in and it'll go through the 400 as long as you're within your weeks. If you're talking about PEUC money, which will look the same on your UI screen, but it says PEUC, that again is part of the CARES package, ends on the 26th. Even if you don't use all your money up, that money freezes on the 26th. And the funds, what happens to the funds is an interesting question. I don't have a good answer for it. It's not like it is held for you specifically. It's funds that were only accessible to a certain point, and we're not sure what happens with it after that until a stimulus package extension happens, and then we'll see what that is. And we won't know what the details of that stimulus package are specifically on how implementation happens until it is passed, and then they'll start, releasing how and when funds will be implemented. We know that that affects a lot of people, but that's the best answer we could give you right now. Someone said, what is PUEC 1.0 versus PUEC 2.0? Is there a PUC 2.0? Why is it 1.0 versus 2.0? There's only 1.0 right now. PUEC 1.0 is the CARES Package Act program. If there is a 2.0, it might be part of what comes in the coming stimulus package. We don't know, but no, there isn't a 2.0 for you to refer to. So don't get excited that if you use all your 1.0, there's a 2.0 coming afterwards. Right now, there isn't. On the 26th, it ends unless relief is passed. Oh, this is a really good one. People have asked about being on the PUA program and the TOP, which is Training Opportunities Program. If you are in unemployment online and you're looking at your online home screen, you might see TOP on the top. So the TOP program is a training opportunities program that the state runs, where it allows you to get extra weeks of benefits if you apply for and are accepted to a training program that will train you in a trade of some kind. It's not always a trade. They do medical coding. There's a lot of different things on there. It's a really cool thing to look at. The idea is to help people that need training to perhaps get a job because they're not having much luck getting a job on their own, just applying for jobs. They're interested in maybe a different position and a different kind of career choice. It is, I believe, and this is what we were explaining to you, it is not open to the PUA folks because it's not a federally funded program. TOP is part of the state's program, so UI. Though it's got a very specific set of rules. You should go online to look at it. You have to hit kind of a bunch of triggers when you apply for it. And I would say that you go look for it, because one of them is that you have to submit the TOP program within the first 20 weeks that you receive your unemployment benefits, though that might not be true. And they have made exceptions in the past, I think, kind of based on what's happening with all of this unemployment. So you should really look into TOP. If you're interested in TOP, reach out to them, fill out the unemployment, or fill out the TOP application if you can, and look at it and see. And maybe you want to learn a different trade. Maybe you want to learn a skill or train for a job that you could do in the interim until we're able to restart. It's a really interesting way for you, if you're having a hard time finding a job, to maybe think about things that are in similar sectors that you might be just need some training for, like coding or similar likes. So I really do encourage you to look at it and see if TOP can help you. What's really important to understand on the PUA and PEUC thing is that they were slow to implement for several reasons. The state had to figure out how to really be able to cover it and how to implement it online, and that took a bit of time. They had to build a whole system for it. So there were a lot of hiccups. A lot of those have been worked out. I know a lot of you are hitting the point where you're having fraud issues coming up. You should continue to fight those, continue to look in your accounts, reach out to your rep, like reach out to the phone call day person that you're supposed to call, because what really happens is that they're dealing with a massive amount of fraud right now that happened. And unfortunately, people are getting flagged not for fraud. So it's getting caught in these systems that exist. So I would say if you're in PUEC, especially, or PUA, and you're seeing that your funds are being held, reach out to unemployment, work with them to get that cleared. They're going to ask you a lot of questions. They might need some reference stuff. Fill it out. Don't let it just go. The funds are there for you. If you can get it before the 26th, the retroactive payments they'll pay you even past the 26th on a retroactive payment. So you should work on that. I think that's all for me. I'm going to hand it over to Thomas, who's going to talk about extended benefits and some of the kind of other stuff that happens in the extended benefits program.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Thomas, as I said earlier, and we are going to talk about extended benefits. Unemployment Extended Benefits, or EB, is a state-based unemployment insurance benefit extension program. Currently, with the CARES Act, EB is funded fully by the federal government. However, after the CARES Act ends, which currently is slated for December 26th at this moment, EB is split between the federal government and the state. Although it is federally funded, it is state specific. That means not all states will qualify or take part in the program. However, at this moment, Massachusetts has qualified for 20 weeks of extended benefits. This is the current maximum extension. However, despite Massachusetts currently being qualified, this does not guarantee that all 20 weeks will be issued, as it can change with a change in the mass unemployment rate. We'll get to that in a little bit. With a change, it could end these benefits. Additionally, it is important to know that not all people currently receiving some form of unemployment insurance or PUA will qualify to receive these benefits, even though Massachusetts does qualify. In order to really understand EB, we're going to break it down into 3 categories: how states qualify, how people qualify, and how you can make sure that you're getting the benefit when your current UI or PEUC run out. How states qualify. The Extended Benefits Program provides up to 13 additional weeks of benefits with a state that is experiencing high unemployment. Some states, Massachusetts included, have also enacted a voluntary program to pay up to an additional 7 weeks, which makes it 20 weeks total, which is also the maximum of extended benefits during periods of extremely high unemployment, which we are unfortunately facing. There are 2 rates that can be used to determine a state's eligibility for extended UI benefits. a state's insured unemployment rate, which you're going to see listed as an IUR, which is the share of people receiving unemployment compared to the total number of workers covered by the Massachusetts Department of Unemployment Assistance. Or the state's total unemployment rate, which is the percent of the state's labor force that is unemployed. Typically, we see the TUR, or total unemployment rate, as advertised on the news. How people qualify. In order to qualify, a person has to be on basic state unemployment insurance. So that means UI. And or it has kicked to PUEC. Unfortunately, at this time, PUA recipients will not qualify. Here are the additional qualifications to receive EB. You have to have exhausted all of your UI, regular UI unemployment insurance under Massachusetts law. So you can have no more left in your UI benefits. You have no rights to UI with respect to any other state or Canada. So if you are someone who works in multiple states, you do not have the ability to claim in a different place or in Canada specifically. You have exhausted the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, aka the PEUC, which if currently is slated to end on December 26th. So that will have no longer be in eligibility requirement. The wages in the base period with respect to the UI, the regular UI claim that was exhausted, that includes one of the following. So you need to calculate your wages. And there's 3 requirements for these wages, and you have to hit at least one. 20 weeks of full-time covered employment, wages higher than 40 times your most recent weekly benefit amount, or total wages in the base period equal to or greater than 1.5 times the quarter. So you're going to have to do some math. So you're going to need to look at 1, 2, or 3 and make sure you qualify for 1. You have no disqualifications that would prevent you from being eligible for EB. And your regular UI benefit year ended on or after May 9th, 2020. What's important to note is all of this will be found on your UA dashboard / profile. You can find out when your year ended. You can find out if there are qualifications, and you can go through to find out your weekly benefit amount to calculate the wages. So leads to the next point. How do I get these benefits? How do I get it? Well, if you are in need of EB or extended benefits, start checking your email, mail, and UA account. Mass Department of Unemployment Assistance will tell you that you are eligible by sending you the application. As Mercedes also stated earlier, and I'm going to echo her, the portal / dashboard has all of your information. However, unlike PEUC, typically you will not be automatically enrolled. That's really important. You're going to most of you will have to apply after being told you are eligible. You must apply for EB on your UI account or your account with DUA. Additionally, unfortunately, you need to be ready that your EB benefits are going to be recalculated and you may get a different rate than you had before. As always, if you have specific questions about your benefits, you should reach out to unemployment assistance. Thank you to everyone who did submit questions about extended benefits. It is a very confusing system, and I hope we were able to clarify it, but we do want to answer some specific questions that did come in. The first one, I am a gig worker that filed for PUA. This person is a 1099 worker. Does that mean I am ineligible for EB? Yes. The extended benefits program only applies to workers that fit into one of the 3 criteria. And typically 1099 workers have not qualified. What you can do is look at your paperwork and potentially file off a smaller W-2. However, I'm assuming at this point you probably have already considered that, but that is something you should definitely call and talk to a DUA representative about. Will unemployment determine my eligibility for EB for me, or do I need to apply myself? As I stated earlier, eligible Mass DUA UI claimants who meet the criteria will receive notice in their UI online account informing them that they can apply for EB. If you notice that you are auto-enrolled into EB, it's because the system flagged you as eligible. Other people will get the option to apply for EB. It means the system has determined it. You need to fill out the application to move forward. And finally, how do I find my monetary determinations on the dashboard to determine my EB eligibility? So what you're going to want to do is go into the benefit overview section of the dashboard homepage, where you will find information about your weekly benefit amount, the potential weeks of benefits that you can use during your benefit year, and the balance remaining on your claim. So you want to check that and make sure that you may not be getting EB yet because you may still be under UI. The inbox, which is located left on the screen, has your letters from the DUA. What you'll want to do is view and maintain account information, which is a link listed on the left below the inbox, and it will take you to more information on your account, including monetary and issue summary. This is where you can get all of that information. Go get your money, kids.
Thank you, Thomas. We've gone over a bunch of stuff. It was questions submitted by you guys. It's stuff that we looked up. It was questions that we ourselves have had. It's important for you guys to realize that a lot of the coalition members on the board are also in a place that you guys are at as well. I'm in PUEC right now. I had some of these questions about EB. I didn't understand what I was looking for when I got it because it auto-enrolled for me. So when you guys send us these questions, they're not silly questions or you're just not getting it. It's a really complicated system. I want to reiterate to you guys, we understand the confusion. We understand your frustration. We want to try to give you the tools to move forward. We want to get the tools for ourselves to be able to move forward. And a lot of this hinges on what happens in the next week and a half-ish around the relief bill. But with the information we've given you, you should still make plans as to how you're going to look at your claims that are having issues or the questions that you have. So use these tools to look at the claims as they stand now. And once the relief package, which will hopefully be passed in the next 48 hours, comes through, we'll be able to, Thomas and I will look at it with our resources and see how this updates the information we're giving you today to be able to kind of move forward and when we think these new programs, if they are passed, how they will impact us here in Massachusetts. And this is really important to say. Everything we've given you is Mass Department of Labor only. If you are a worker that works in multiple states, we're only answering the Massachusetts part of it. We can only answer for Massachusetts because that's what we have access to. We don't have access to Rhode Island unemployment. We don't have access to New Hampshire or any other state that has an unemployment system. We only have access to Massachusetts. So that's what we were able to answer. As always, if you work in multiple states and you're filing in different states, you should definitely look into those different programs per state and figure out what works for you. Say you get through all of this and you're frustrated and you need next steps. Thomas, what do you do?
That's a great question. So you're at the what now? You've called, you talked to everyone at DUA, and nothing's happening. So whether you're still confused about what's going on with your unemployment in its current stage or trying to figure out what you haven't been getting paid, the best opportunity to get help on your specific claim is through something called Constituent Services. Constituent Services is an advocate employed by your state level representative or senator or your federal representative or senator who can reach out directly to unemployment on your behalf. They can get someone at unemployment who is specifically trained to answer your questions and solve your problems. They'll also be able to call you and talk you through it. They can help you establish a paper trail of reaching out and get problems solved. They can be a squeaky wheel on your behalf with unemployment. They are here to help you. If you're unsure of who you are represented by, MLEC has created an easy link to get you this information. This link will be in the comments below as well. It is https:// //BIT/LY/MLECFINDER. It's a bit.ly link for an MLC rep finder. Once you find your rep, find out if they have a website. Most of them do. And there may be a way of contacting the Constituent Services through their website, which is great and easy for you. If not, you'll need to call their number at Beacon Street or in Washington, D.C. Either will work, and they will give you a number to either a local office, which is sometimes in Boston, sometimes in Springfield, or closer to your district. Even if you didn't vote for them, they are your representative, and they have an ethical obligation to help you. And if you can't get help from one, go to the next one, because there's plenty of people who do represent you. Don't leave your unemployment money that you are entitled to on the table. Reach out and get help. You will be surprised at how helpful they are. Get your money.
Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, get your money. Or if you need help and we haven't been able to answer these questions, send us a message. I say this to you guys every time that we do a public action or we are online in social media. We will use the best resources we have that are accessible to us to answer your questions. So send us a question. If you've watched this and you have another question pop up, just send us a message on Facebook or Instagram or email, and which is on our website, massliveco.org, and let us know how we can help you, and we'll do some research for you as best we can. We can't see your individual accounts, and we don't have all your employment history or your employment experience, but we can kind of parse together what we can versus what with what you tell us and what we have access to. Thank you so much for submitting the questions. Thank you, Thomas and Amanda Holt and Becki and DJ, David that does our video. We want to provide these to you so that you guys have tools. I keep saying tool, but tools are really important. It is how we do our jobs when we're back at work, and how we exist, right? We are a group of so many different sectors of the industry, but we all have tools that we use in our arsenal, and knowledge is always one of them. We cannot emphasize enough: get your knowledge on, do some learning. Get the information that you need to move forward with whatever you're doing, or whatever is the roadblock in what especially financially for you. Financial instability right now is terrifying for everybody. I can tell you this from experience, not knowing when you're going to get paid, where your money's coming from, funding, all of that. It's very terrifying. We want to try and help alleviate that, even if it's a little tiny bit. We feel like we've done our jobs in serving you as a community that we are part of. So if we can do anything else, please let us know. And thank you for watching us talk. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you for hanging tough.
Yes, hanging tough. Bye.